Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, and these next watches we're discussing have everything. Space travel, chronographs, limited edition collector's watches, workplace safety. It's got everything. It's the Silver Snoopy Award Speedmaster, and we're talking about it right now. Now, Speedmaster heads and collectors out there are probably very familiar with these watches, or at least these line of watches. But for the layman or for someone who's not too into their Speedmaster history, we won't blame you for that. But the Silver Snoopy Award watches are some of the most collectible and desirable Speedmasters out there. And we've actually got a couple of fantastic editions here. We actually have the first one and the most recent one in stock right now, and I'm super excited to show you guys. Now, going back a little further, I know I was a little confused. What the heck does Snoopy have to do with Speedmasters or NASA? What do the Peanut comics have to do with any of that at all? Well, they were a very popular comic strip in the 50s and 60s, around the time that the NASA program was getting started. And for reasons that I was not able to determine, they decided to make the adorable beagle from the Peanuts comic strip Snoopy the official safety mascot of NASA for their Apollo missions. So leading up to the moon landing and all of the training going into that, everything regarding NASA workplace safety was sort of represented by the character Snoopy. And there's a ton of pictures out there of these astronauts high-fiving cute little Snoopy plush dolls as they're getting ready to go into training modules and all that. It looks adorable, and I hope it brings some comfort to those astronauts who, are running the risk of their corpses getting hurled into a flaming ball of the cold expanse of space. So I really hope that cute beagle made those guys feel a lot more comfortable while they were preparing to do that. But as such, it's become a lot of literature and a lot of promotional stuff about NASA around that time contained the Snoopy character, and this was, of course, done with Charles Schulz, the creator's consent. He was a big fan of the program and was super flattered to have his character involved in that. And so years and years down the road, I don't know how much anyone outside of the most diehard NASA heads out there really know about the relation between Snoopy and the Apollo program. But of course, Omega had to get on the action with their MoonWatch commemorating NASA's history and Omega's shared history with NASA itself in these Silver Snoopy watches. And the Silver Snoopy Award is actually an award that I believe NASA is still giving out for people who exhibit exemplary workplace safety, in practice. So it's apparently a very prestigious award to receive amongst NASA employees. And of course, they made some fantastic collectible watches to go along with it. So the first one we have was actually introduced in 2003. It is a reference 357851. And this is the original, the first Silver Snoopy Award Speedmaster. It's a pretty straightforward Speedmaster, 42 millimeter case, has a light crystal, 1861 movement. They definitely didn't reinvent the wheel with this, but this was the first time really bringing that sort of Silver Snoopy Award from NASA to their Speedmaster line. This was the first time that was done. So pretty straightforward, same sort of dial layout. I'm not going to go into what a Speedmaster looks like because I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar at this point. But of course, the seconds hand here at 3 o'clock, we do actually have the, in blue, the actual Snoopy character in a spacesuit with the helmet and everything, with the official logo of the sort of Silver Snoopy Award, which is Eyes to the Stars, written across the top of it. And otherwise, this is a pretty straightforward steel example of the Speedmaster, with the exception of that subdial and this beautiful caseback, which basically has the exact same thing, but in much larger and more detail. Beautiful blue color. This is in an absolute mint condition watch, not completely unworn, but as it's a collector's edition watch, you could tell the original owner basically kept this in the closet to admire for most of the time. And it is in pristine condition, and you do see, the beautiful contrast between the light blue, the white of Snoopy, the more royal blue, and of course the stars on the background there. This, of course, probably because not many people were familiar with the relationship between Snoopy and NASA. Believe it or not a big hit when it came out. This watch was apparently very hard for Omega to move off the shelves, but like 2001 A Space Odyssey, or I don't know, the Velvet Underground's first album, with the years go by, this became a very desirable cult classic, and now it is one of the most collectible Speedmasters. Goes for a ton of money compared to what it was originally worth, and what can I say? People just really didn't appreciate it when it came out. The same cannot be said for the next one. At this point, Speedmaster collectors know all about the Silver Snoopy Award, know all about if you put Snoopy on a watch, it is going to be a valuable piece. And this is one where Omega definitely knows that. This is the 50th anniversary Silver Snoopy edition, and this is the main reason I'm doing this video. It's one of the most incredible pieces I've seen. It is so much fun, and I am already kind of spoiling it for you. I should just talk about the watch. The first thing you'll notice, it is a blue panda dial, which is something I love. Omega's done on a few Speedmaster versions before. It looks beautiful every single time. This one, probably the best of them all. You're also going to notice a lot more changes between a regular Speedmaster and this. This is definitely a limited edition watch. You do have some of the same layouts. You know, again, they do have the same, south pointing subdial chronographs here. And you do have the Silver Snoopy Award at the 3 o'clock seconds hand as you do on the other one. The main difference here is this is going to be a Hezolite crystal, as well as I believe this is a ceramic bezel here. The blue color is absolutely stunning. It is a lot sharper than even other blue Speedmasters I've seen in the past. And that's how you know this is a very, very special watch here. Beautiful looking silver color on the dial. Otherwise, the same layout as a traditional Speedmaster. But what really makes this watch work is the caseback action. This is not an actual logo. This is actually an animated caseback is what they call it. And at first I didn't know what that means, but when you engage the chronograph, you actually do see, one, the Earth from the moon start rotating, and then after a couple of seconds, I won't make you see the whole thing, but of course we'll show you a close-up video later, you actually have a rocket ship appear from behind the moon with Snoopy in it, flying across the face of the Earth. Now this action takes about 14 seconds to complete. It is isolated exclusively on the caseback, so you will have to take your watch off and turn it around to show this incredible animation off to people. But this is not anything I've seen on any watch, any brand, any line otherwise. I have not seen this kind of action on a caseback. And of course, you do see eyes to the stars here. It's not just the fact that the caseback does this, the coloring and the execution of it is really something to behold. The color blue of the planet Earth is so incredibly bright, and it does contrast incredibly with the night sky behind it and the stars that you see sprinkled across that background, and of course, eyes to the stars written across the top, just like it is on the subdial. And really looking at the three-dimensional pattern with the sort of, the body of the moon being closest to you and sort of seeing it offset with the Earth and space in the background there. It is absolutely incredible, and again, one of a kind, not like anything else out there. And whether or not you're a Speedmaster collector, this is something I think anyone who's into mechanical timekeeping at all should be able to admire. The fun fact about this watch is it's actually not a limited edition model, or at least Omega is not calling it that, unlike the first one, which I believe was limited to about 5,000 pieces. This one is considered a regular production model, but anyone who's tried to buy a Daytona or a Royal Oak will know just because they don't call it limited edition doesn't mean it's easy to get your hands on. And I know we have one of the few examples of this for sale online. So if you want it, don't miss out on it. But frankly, if you want to let me keep playing with this thing and looking at the case back, I'm not going to fault you for it either, because it's the most fun I've had holding a watch in years. So whether or not you're into Snoopy, NASA, the Peanuts, or if you're just really into being OSHA compliant, the Silver Snoopy is the watch for you. And if it's not, well, guess what? We've got dozens of other brands, hundreds of models, thousands of watches for sale, ready to ship to you today at SwissWatchExpo.com.